Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I am Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to talk about becoming a mermaid. My goodness, I thought mermaids were fantasy creatures, that they didn't really exist. It's kind of a half fish, half human. And, of course, they're usually female, although I guess there are mermen out there, but you don't really see those too much. And most people are interested in seeing the female mermaids. They're just so much more pretty and more graceful in the water.
Well, I don't want to see a mermaid with a beard either. That's kind of creepy. I just want to see a female mermaid. Thank you very much.
Well, if you watch SpongeBob, of course, there's a superhero called Mermaid Man and his sidekick Barnacle Boy, but that's another topic for another day. SpongeBob, of course, is that cartoon character that looks like a sponge, but which could be related because this is something that happens in the sea. And yes, indeed, you might want to become a professional mermaid. There are people who actually do this as a job. Again, they're not real mermaids. They're just dressing up like mermaids, but they perform in the water in aquariums. So we'll talk about that today. So let's get to it. Let's read the entire contents of our lesson now, one time. What comes to mind when you think of a mermaid? For some, it may simply be a mythical creature, but being a professional mermaid is a real and fascinating career. This unique job not only involves creativity, but also demands dedication and skill. Professional mermaids amaze audiences with breathtaking underwater performances. Whether they are gracefully swimming alongside marine creatures or educating spectators about manatee ecology, their movements evoke a sense of magic and wonder. But their work doesn't stop there. Many mermaids engage directly with visitors, taking memorable photos or guiding them through unique experiences, such as Mermaid for a Day programs. People can engage in these interactive activities to step into a world of fantasy while appreciating the skill and effort behind them. Yet, being a mermaid isn't all about glamour. The job requires tough training, including certifications in diving and advanced swimming techniques like navigating underwater without a mask. Performing in cold water for extended periods demands incredible physical endurance, while the constant exposure to water poses health challenges, particularly to the eyes and nasal passages. Carrying the weight of a heavy mermaid tail adds another layer of difficulty, making this role as demanding as it is beautiful. For those seeking to push their limits, mermaid competitions offer a platform to show skill, artistry, and dedication. These contests, with their strict standards and challenging requirements, highlight the professionalism of those in the field while fostering a strong sense of friendship and teamwork among participants. Ultimately, the life of a professional mermaid requires hard work, passion, and a touch of magic. It is a career that transforms fantasy into reality, offering both challenges and rewards to those brave enough to dive into its depths.
So are you swimming toward a dream? That dream being becoming a professional mermaid, having that as your career goal? Maybe some of you out there love to be in the water, love to swim, and you think that this sounds like a lot of fun. You would sure make a lot of kids happy, I know that. I've seen mermaids be hired for birthday parties and stuff. If the family has a pool in the backyard, they'll hire like Disney-like mermaids to pose by the pool, but they usually aren't swimming. This is a career where you actually have to be a really good swimmer. We'll talk about what this job entails.
Okay, yes, indeed. And I did see mermaids put on a show at Ocean Park down in Hualien there. There was a room off to the side with a big sort of aquarium, a big wall behind water or water behind the wall. And there were some ladies in there. They were Western ladies performing as mermaids there. So I guess you can do this as a job. And our first paragraph asks us a question. What comes to mind when you think of a mermaid? Yes, if somebody mentions the word mermaid, what do you think of?
Yeah, what comes to mind? I know the other day, I think Tom and I were recording a test somewhere not here, and they had written what comes to your mind. But we just say what comes to mind. You don't have to say what comes to your mind. What comes to mind when you think of, or when you hear the phrase, or when someone says, you can use that quite often. So for some, it may simply be a mythical creature. Tom talked about how these are fantastical creatures. They're not real, but we've seen them in movies and on TV, so maybe some kids think they're real. A mermaid has the upper body of a woman and then the lower body of a fish. And so she has a big fin or tail instead of legs.
Indeed. And of course, if you're doing this, of course, human beings cannot breathe in the water. So you have to learn to hold your breath for long periods of time. That's what they did at that show. They would start off on the surface, they'd take a breath of air, then they'd hold their breath and do some acrobatics or whatever underwater for a pretty impressive amount of time, maybe 10 to 20 seconds or something. Then they'd go back for another breath of air. So I guess that will require lots of training. And yes, it's a unique job. And it not only involves creativity, but also demands dedication and skill. So indeed, just like dancers, there are different ways that you can move in the water to be pretty, to impress people. And so it's very unique. And so it involves a lot of creativity. They probably need to figure out ways for these mermaids to move. They move in unison as a group of mermaids or whatever. It can be quite creative. But you have to have a lot of dedication, okay? It's not just something you can do on a weekend and do it for fun or whatever. You need to be trained and you need to be dedicated to it. You're going to commit yourself to this job and you're going to actually consider it possibly your career for life.
Yeah, you really do need a lot of dedication because it takes a lot of hours of practicing to develop the lung capacity to hold your breath that long while you're doing athletic, actions. It's not like you're just lying back in the water and you're holding your breath that way. You're actually using up a lot of your muscles in your body, so you probably need some more air. So it would take a lot of hours of practice. And you have to keep, usually if you're performing with other mermaids, and that's what we usually see, is they have a dance routine or a swim routine under the water. That's hours and hours of practicing to try to get together because they usually perform to music. Creativity can also be substituted with imagination, originality, inventiveness. So it's a very unique job. It's really interesting. Professional mermaids who are getting paid to do this, they're not doing it as a hobby. They amaze audiences, different audiences, with breathtaking underwater performances. That's the hardest part, I think, for me at least, because I have asthma. I can't breathe very well anyway. But to hold your breath that long underwater while you're doing these tricks, acrobatics, backward flips, dancing in the water, that's really not easy.
Right, and of course these performances are breathtaking. Of course, it's quite impressive. They kind of, twirl around in the water, and of course they interact with each other and maybe other creatures as well. Whether they are gracefully swimming alongside marine creatures or educating spectators about manatee ecology, their movements evoke a sense of magic and wonder. So here's how you describe something with this pattern. Whether it's this or that, then this happens as a result. So whether they're swimming alongside marine creatures or if they're educating people about manatees, their movements still evoke this sense of magic and wonder. So if something is in the ocean or has something to do with the ocean, we use the adjective marine. Marine creatures, you could say sea creatures, it means the same thing. So yeah, they're swimming alongside fish, maybe dolphins, maybe sharks or whatever. Sharks might be a little dangerous, so they need to be careful there. But yes, that's probably part of the show. They swim along those other fish. And also they want to educate spectators about, concerns about the ocean, including manatees. A manatee is a kind of, I guess it's kind of like a whale-like creature, maybe like a walrus or something. They're common in Florida, I think, and they've got some species in South America as well. I'm not quite sure what they're called in Chinese, but indeed, this might be something that they're trying to teach people about.
We have manatees here. A manatee has those two flippers in the front, and then its tail is very broad. It's shaped like a spoon. They're kind of funny-looking creatures. Their movements evoke a sense of magic and wonder. To evoke just means to bring to mind or makes you recall something. It's kind of fun. But yeah, their movements are pretty amazing, and they give you a sense of magic and wonder as you watch these graceful swimmers who are swimming alongside different marine creatures, as Tom said. But their work doesn't stop there. Many mermaids engage or interact directly with visitors. So they have to be available to take photos with tourists. I'm sure they're taking photos with a lot of little girls. The little girls would just think they were magical. Little ones, especially very young kids, they think that mermaids are real. They don't see them as fake or something that's just a creature that's been made up. They think of them as real. So they like to take pictures with them. It's like going to Disneyland and they run into someone dressed up as Snow White. They think that's Snow White from the TV that they've seen. So yeah, it's kind of fun. That would be my favorite part, is just taking pictures with kids. Or maybe they're guiding them through unique experiences. For example, they do this thing, Mermaid for a Day program. That sounds fun.
Right, so somebody gets to be a mermaid for a day. That's a program, a special kind of activity that people can participate in. Here it says people can engage in these interactive activities to step into a world of fantasy while appreciating the skill and effort behind them. Okay, so I guess it involves letting the people actually engage with the mermaids. Okay, maybe you actually get in the water with them.
Ooh.
These are interactive activities. If something's interactive, people react to what the other person is doing. Okay, the mermaid does something, you do something else. Maybe you're dancing together in the water. Maybe they do it on the surface of the water, because if you hold your breath or something, it might be dangerous for you. So I don't know what these activities could entail, but indeed, they are interactive activities. You can actually interact with the mermaids, and maybe you can even make friends with them. Of course, you can have your picture taken with them.
I wanted to mention for you video game players out there, when a video game is being described as interactive, it means it allows the players to have a two-way flow of information between the game and the user. So that's pretty important for you to understand as well. But interactive, yeah, it lets people be influenced by each other. You have an effect on each other, and that sounds like a lot of fun for kids, being a mermaid for a day. And maybe it would be a way to get your kids to enjoy the water more. Maybe you have a young one who's afraid of getting into the water or swimming. But if they see that the water can also be fun, maybe that would change how they feel about the water. And I think it's important for everyone to learn how to swim just to be safe. We're going to take a break here, guys. It's a little early, but we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to continue talking about the world of being a professional mermaid. It just makes me laugh.
Hello everyone, 我是 Patrick 老师，今天讲解的是6月16号 Unit 9。这个单元是文意选填的练习题，内容介绍的是美人鱼这份工作，不是童话里的美人鱼，而是职业的表演艺术人员。大家可以想象自己悠游的在水中表演吗？这篇文章让我们了解，要胜任美人鱼的工作，需要具备哪些技能，面临什么样的挑战。果真啊，台上10分钟，台下10年功。我们在主题解说前，老师要再次提醒大家，答题的时候先看看有哪些选项可以选，那看一下这些选项是什么词性，把它标出来。虽然有些字不止一种词性，不过我们根据句子的结构可以判断空格大概要停什么样的词性的单字，那你再根据文意找出正确的选项，这样子会比较有效率。那我们一起来解题吧。我们看第一题，段落开头提问，当你想到美人鱼的时候，脑海中会浮现什么画面呢？接着就是题干，对某些人来说，美人鱼或许只是空格什么样的生物。 但其实职业美人鱼是一份真正很真实而且很迷人的职业。在不定冠字 a 或者 an 之后，名词 creature 生物之前，那我们就只能放形容词做修饰，因此选 F mythical 神话的。第一题正确答案是 F。 我们紧接看第二题，这份独特的工作不仅空格创意，还需要投入和技能。那题干呢有个双词连接词 not only but also， 前后连接的词性要对等， but also 后面加的是 demands dedication and skill 这个动词片语， not only 呢也就必须要加上动词片语。那考量前后文意的连贯，因此呢我们选 I involves 需要。第二题正确答案是 I。 我们接着看第三题，请看第二段，职业美人鱼用令人惊叹的水下表演吸引观众，不论呢是优雅的在水里和海洋生物悠游，还是针对海牛生态教育空格，他们的动作都充满了魔法和奇幻。 educate 教育教导是及物动词，后面需要名词当受词啊。我们从选项里挑选符合前后文意的一个单词，所以第三题答案选 A spectators 观众，表示不论是优雅的和海洋生物一起在水中悠游，还是呢向观众介绍海牛生态，他们的动作都充满了奇幻。好，接着是第四题，然而他们的工作不仅止于此，很多美人鱼会直接和游客互动，拍摄难忘的照片，或带他们参与独特的体验，比方说像一日美人鱼这样子的活动。那这些参加的游客呢就可以参与互动，进入梦幻的世界，同时空格背后的技巧和努力。第四题题干 People can engage 这个句子里有两个子句，用 while 连接起来，因为主词都是 people， 所以 while 所引导的副词子句可以省略主词，不过后面的动词要有形态变化，用现在分词 ing 结尾。那考量前后文意，我们选 D appreciating 欣赏。第四题答案选 D。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Let's continue talking about mermaids, not the real mermaids. We're talking about humans acting like mermaids, and we talked about different kinds of activities that mermaids offer for people. You can, of course, see their shows, but, of course, there are interactive experiences such as Mermaid for a Day. You can actually get up close and personal with the mermaids in the pool or whatever. Yet, here in the next paragraph, it says, being a mermaid isn't all about glamour. Okay, so of course, this might be attractive to lots of ladies. Of course, if you are a mermaid in a pool, of course, people will be looking at you. So you'll think, hey, I'm a beautiful woman here. I'm a beautiful mermaid. Isn't this wonderful? And so it's not all about glamour. Glamour is just being attractive. Of course, lots of women want to be models or actresses or whatever. Because of the glamour aspect of it, you get a lot of attention. People will take your picture. They'll want to have their picture taken with you. They'll want your autograph, etc. But yeah, being a mermaid isn't all about glamour or fashion.
No, it is not. It requires some grit, G-R-I-T. It takes some real dedication. You can't be someone who quits easily because you really have to have some skills that are acquired over hours of training. The job requires tough training. You can't be a crybaby. This stuff is hard. You also earn certifications in different things like diving and advanced swimming techniques like navigating underwater without a mask. And they'll have to open their eyes up under the water, obviously, to see where they are. They are in sync, meaning their rhythm is matching that of the other mermaids as they're dancing. So, yeah, you have to get used to all of this stuff. If you don't like to open your eyes underwater, maybe this isn't for you. What is certification? That's when you get some official document that said you had some sort of training or you meet certain requirements or standards so that you can go ahead and do a particular job. Maybe you have certification in teaching so that you can go and apply for a job at a school and become a teacher.
You have a certificate, you have a license, and of course here in Taiwan there are lots of places to get certification in diving, scuba diving to be specific, over there by Audi. I think there's some places where you can learn scuba diving. And of course you also have to be an excellent swimmer. You have to have certification in advanced swimming techniques.
You'd say you're certified.
Right, exactly. You're certified.
I'm certified.
You have a license, etc., and you probably have to know all the strokes and different ways to move through the water. And these techniques or these skills will involve navigating underwater without a mask. So here, of course, in Taiwan, when people go swimming in a swimming pool, everybody wears swimming goggles. Okay. But when I was growing up and I used to go swimming in a lake, sometimes you'd open your eyes underwater. I'm not sure if that's a good thing to do, at least not for a long time, but you can see underwater to a certain extent, but things are very blurry underwater. You can kind of make things out, or there's a rock there, there's the dock there, or whatever. But yeah, you need to have goggles to see clearly, but they don't look good on mermaids, okay? They have to learn how to swim without those masks on or goggles on.
Yeah, it's not very glamorous to wear goggles. That's interesting. When I was growing up, we never wore goggles in the swimming pool. We would just go, and open our eyes under the water and do stunts. We'd do handstands on the bottom of the pool and things like that. But yeah, goggles will certainly protect your eyes and it feels better and you can open your eyes for a longer period of time. But if you're a mermaid, beauty is number one. You have to look beautiful and glamorous and graceful and elegant as you're swimming. And wearing a mask or goggles would just ruin the whole effect. So they're performing in cold water for extended periods. That's one of the problems. Not all the pools are heated up or wherever they're swimming. So spending a long time in a cold pool or in cold water is difficult. It demands incredible physical endurance. Incredible is something that is very impressive, hard to believe. And if you're talking about endurance, it's the ability to keep going even when something's really difficult or challenging. You've got a lot of endurance. Physical means it affects your body, not your mind or your emotions, your body. So these are some of the difficult things that a mermaid has to go through. It's not all about glamour, and a lot of jobs that may look glamorous from the outside, once you start doing them, you realize, oh, this is tough, or it's not so glamorous. And that's what they're trying to help people understand here.
Right. So, of course, sometimes the performance time will be during the winter or something, so you have to be used to being in colder water, so you have to have incredible physical endurance, which is the ability to endure or to go through a difficult situation. And then you have constant exposure to water, and that poses health challenges. Now, we're not normally designed to spend a lot of time in water like fish are.
No.
So, of course, if your skin is constantly exposed to water, it could affect your skin and other parts of your body. Exposure is when you are in contact with something, like you don't want to have too much exposure to the sun because you might get a bad sunburn or you might even get skin cancer, so watch out for that. And yes, you have constant exposure to water, and that will bring about health challenges, especially or particularly to the eyes and nasal passages. Okay, so yes, your eyes are exposed to the water, and there are different things in the water than there are in the air, so that could be a problem for your eyes. And then also it will affect your nasal passages. That's just the passages in your nose when you breathe water. I guess it's affected by holding your breath for so long.
You also have to carry the weight of a very heavy mermaid tail that you're wearing on your body. So your legs are in this tail. And that's hard too. So you have to be very strong. I bet these girls probably lift weights. And this adds another layer of difficulty. Layer here is being used as a substitute for another kind of difficulty, another type of difficulty. Layer is usually something that we stack on top of something else, like layers of cake or 3 layers of frosting. Here is just a type of difficulty that we're saying here. It's another type of difficulty that makes the job harder, and this makes the role demanding as well as beautiful. So if something's demanding, it's asking a lot of you. It's requiring a lot of effort, maybe attention, maybe muscle, maybe a lot of things, maybe patience as you get to learn these different swimming techniques. So for those seeking to push their limits, to see how far you can push your body, mermaid competitions offer a platform, a venue, an opportunity to show skill, artistry, and dedication. They actually have competitions, Tom.
They certainly do. And these contests or these competitions with their strict standards and challenging requirements highlight the professionalism of those in the field while fostering a strong sense of friendship and teamwork among participants. So, of course, as you can expect, when these mermaids work together, they become close friends.
Sure.
And they have this teamwork. And, of course, if you are involved in this activity, you are a participant. You are participating or taking part in this activity.
Yeah, and if you use this word foster, it just means to help something develop or grow. So it helps this sense of friendship and teamwork grow among the participants. I think it's a great way to also help your kids understand how to work with other people better, because you have to be a good teammate if you're going to be out there in the business world, especially because we all, depend on each other. We work together to make something successful. Moving on to the final paragraph, it says, ultimately or finally, at the end of this article, after we've talked about all these things, the life of a professional mermaid requires hard work, passion. You have to really enjoy what you're doing, and a touch of magic. I like that they're always going to be in kind of a magical world as they're participating in this career because of the tourists, the visitors, especially the little kids that come to see them. They think that what they're seeing is magic. And I think that would add something pretty special to your job.
Yep, it's a career that transforms fantasy into reality, offering both challenges and rewards to those brave enough to dive into its depths. Okay, that word is really hard even for native speakers to say.
True.
Depth refers to how deep something is, and this makes it plural here with the S at the end of it. I think as native speakers, we actually try to avoid saying this word because it is quite hard to say.
Well, I want to give him the trick, though. Most Americans just say depths.
Yeah, without the
we don't put the
TH
in it. Depths.
Yeah, the depths of the ocean.
Especially if it's surrounded by other words and you're speaking quickly. We don't try to say depths because that's kind of crazy. Depths.
Indeed. Yeah, we do that with a lot of words as well because not every word is easy for us to pronounce. I'm sure you all do that in Chinese to a certain extent.
Like strengths?
As well. Strengths, yeah.
A lot of people just say strengths. And I looked up the pronunciation the other day, Tom, and you can. That's one of the pronunciations to put a K on the end. Strengths.
Okay, so English can be flexible, so don't worry if you can't say all the consonants and vowels. We'll still understand what you mean. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
再来，我们看第5题，请看第3段。然而，做美人鱼不是只有光鲜亮丽的一面而已。这份工作需要严格的训练，包括要有潜水证照，还有空格游泳技能。像是呢，不戴着面罩就在水中穿梭。那空格呢，应该要填形容词或者分词，修饰后方的名词组 swimming techniques。考量前后文的文意，我们选 H advanced 进阶的、高阶的。第5题答案选 H。再来看到第6题，前面的句子提到长时间在冰冷的水中表演，要有惊人的体能耐力。长期浸泡在水中，对健康也会构成挑战。特别是对眼睛鼻腔的影响。再来是题干 背负着沉重的美人鱼尾巴，更增加了另外一个层次的空格，让这份工作其实变得很艰难又美丽。那 another layer of 后面我们看到这个 of 是介系词，它后面就应该要填名词作为受词。那段落开头就说了，美人鱼不是只有表面的光鲜亮丽，这一整段都在说明职业美人鱼各式各样的困难，所以第6题我们选 G difficulty。 再来看第7题，对于那些想要挑战极限的人来说，美人鱼空格提供了一个展现技巧、艺术性还有全心投入的平台。空格在主要动词 offer 之前只能是名词作为主词，而且要是复数名词，因为 offer 并没有加上 s。 那后面的句子 these contests 这些竞赛就是我们的线索，所以第7题选 C competitions。 再来看第8题，这题句子很长，我们先化繁为简。 What 是附加说明竞赛的，为了不要让自己看得眼花缭乱，先略过不要看，不会影响理解。第8题文法概念和第4题是一样的，句子里有2个子句用 while 连接起来，因为主词都是 these contests， 所以 while 所引导的副词子句可以省略主词，不过后面动词要有形态变化，用现在分词 ing 结尾，考量前后文意，所以选 E fostering 促进。紧接着是第9题，空格在及物动词 requires 之后，一连串名词作为受词之中，可见空格也应该填名词。那答案呢？选 B passion。 最后是第10题， that 是关系代名词代替前面的 career 职业，关系子句要有动词，空格填入 J transforms 转换。好，所以答案是 J。 以上就是我们对文意选填所做的中文讲解，谢谢。
Okay, we're at the end of our program, everybody. And if you choose a career in mermaid science or performing as a mermaid, we wish you the best of luck and that you can make a lot of money in your career and be very successful. And hopefully, of course, you also can improve your English at the same time by listening to us and checking out our content on YouTube and Facebook. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.